What's up, Geeked Week? I'm Jeff Keighley, and I am joined by the cast from Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. We've got Claire and Leon, otherwise known as Nick and Stephanie. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, what's happening?
Hello.
So excited to be here.
Doing great. We are so stoked.
I'm so excited you guys are here because you're not only the voices in the new Resident Evil Infinite Darkness that's coming to Netflix, but you've also done voices in the games as well. So tell us a bit about your background. Like, how did you guys get these roles?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just as you would any other project, you know, went in for an audition, except the caveat is when you know the franchise and you see the lines, like in my case, don't shoot. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's only one character that I know that would say something along those lines.
What about you, Nick?
I submitted for the project, and the moment I read the script, saw the characters, I knew exactly what it was. I've been a fan of Resident Evil since 1998, and so I was intimately familiar with this game, and I knew I had to book it. And a couple weeks later, I had the part, and I died, and I've been dead ever since.
Well, and you guys are so great in the game. I'm curious then, Infinite Darkness, how does that come into the picture? Did they come to you because you obviously played these characters in the games, and for the sake of authenticity, we want the same actors to do this animated piece? How did that come about?
That's what I imagine. We built that chemistry together. The characters are only 7 to 8 years older, and so it still works. And I was just really, really happy and honored to be asked back.
For people that may not be familiar with this project, what is it? How does it sort of tie into the Resident Evil canon? And its 25th anniversary this year. We'll get into that. But people love their Resident Evil. How does this fit into the RE world?
I don't want to spoil too much about story and what's happening. Stephanie agrees with me on that one.
Agreed. We keep our mouths shut. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but what's cool about the Resident Evil franchise being 25 years old is that in between games, they've always kind of thrown in like additional either side games or CGI titles, diving further into the canon, further explaining characters, looking at backstories, and so this is kind of more of that. This takes place between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 6, a couple side games in between, and we're going to see some very familiar stuff, but we're also going to see a lot of new stuff as well. I think a lot of people are going to be happy. I
want to ask about the director, Hasumi-san, who's done some amazing movies in Japan, but this is his first anime, and it is a full-blown, movie-style production. I'm curious, the look and feel of it and the experience that you talked about, filming it in a similar way to a game with performance capture. But what was it like, working with a linear director versus a game director? Terms of the experience, was it different at all?
He kept it very grounded. I've seen some of his work, and me coming from an on-camera like film TV background, it felt very familiar. And I loved the other CGI movies that they've done, that Resident Evil has put out. This feels a bit more grounded, less over-the-top action, and more very super realistic, and that's easy for me to relate to because I'm not a superhero. I don't know about you, Steph.
I mean, I may be, but I can't tell people that. No, I would agree, actually. I think that he brought a level of, there was a lot of nuances that were there and subtleties.
Yeah.
And I will have to say that was really fantastic. It was automatic bonding. I honestly feel like we had a similar experience to when we made RE2, where there was a lot of love and collaboration, and as much as he's done great works and film, and he still really wanted to hear what we had to say and where we were going with our characters and respecting our choices. Like you said, the only thing would just be more grounded. Definitely feels more realistic. That was the biggest difference.
Yeah, you're going through this linear story, whereas I know sometimes with games you're shooting in so many different orders and options and things like that it's hard to kind of understand how it's all going to fit together, whereas this is such an awesome self-contained story. I wanted to ask you about your characters. Leon and Claire are such iconic Resident Evil characters. They've been around for a while. What do you relate to in those characters? Like when you got these roles, tell us a bit about those characters and who they are and what they represent, and how you sort of respond to that?
My favorite thing with Claire is that she just has this like authenticity about her where she doesn't always know what she's doing, but somehow she will always figure out a way. And even when she is at her lowest, she will continue to help somebody no matter what.
Claire is very earnest, and I feel like you play her in an earnest fashion. What about you, Nick? How do you relate to Leon?
It's a bit of a loaded question. For the fans of the series, you know that Leon goes through quite an arc in his history, and especially towards the beginning, when he was introduced in '98, when he was just a rookie cop. That's where I share a lot of characteristics and traits with this guy, and that's a big part of the reason why I was cast, is because they saw the essence of Leon in myself. Now, what is that essence? I don't have a malicious bone in my body. I always typically want to try to do the right thing. Also earnest, he just wants to figure out what the problem is and solve it. If that's helping people, that's great. And he's a bit of a loner. He's a little mysterious, and I definitely have that in me. I don't like everybody to know everything about me necessarily.
But a man of mystery.
What a man of mystery. I'm dichotomy.
It's such a iconic franchise. As you said, you guys were inheriting these characters that have been, played by other people in the past and been around for a while. So it's like you had to kind of make them your own. But what's your first Resident Evil memory? Was it a game? Was it a movie? Like, when did you guys first encounter RE?
It was with Leon in 1998 when the original RE2 came out. My buddy had me over at a sleepover, and he said, "Hey, you want to play the zombie game?" I said, "Yeah." And I remember the first scene I ever saw Leon come out of the fire in the city and have to shoot the zombies. I fell in love in '98, and I've been a diehard fan ever since. And so it is like, name your cliche, life coming full circle or whatever, but it's to portray an iconic character who's so special in my own life, and then you get to play him. It's like a mind F. I won't swear.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's impressive that you've been living with Leon for 20 years and now get to make him your own. What about you, Stephanie?
So we were at my neighbor's house. I remember we got to choose who they were playing with, and then I was like, "Oh, who's the girl in the red?" And it's like, "Oh, that's Claire Redfield," and I was like, "Oh, there's another like girl, like you can play as a girl." Like that was a big deal for me as a girl, because I have 3 brothers. So for me, like everything was like, "Oh, there's the boy. Okay, you choose the boy. Oh, you play it like this." And like for the first time, it was like, wait a minute. And then obviously the Resident Evil movies, because I played RE2 a little later on, not when it first came out.
Hey, no, it's been such a long legacy, right, of the films, the games, and as you guys have mentioned, there have been other, sort of RE media that has told stories around it, but Dark just looks so incredible visually, and I think it's so exciting that it's going to be on Netflix. These characters have been around for so long, but I think we all want to see kind of the growth of their relationships, the characters, set a period of time after the game. So it's it's meant to sort of not just retell the story of any of the games, but really add something narratively to the fiction of the character, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I think this series, you're going to learn a lot. Things that you didn't know about before that weren't completely introduced within the games. And I think that's what makes it really fascinating and a really beautiful place to kind of pick up the story.
Oh, I love now that, a lot of these Netflix series and shows are doing just that, right? It's not just let's retell the game, but actually let's add more lore and more context around who these characters are. And then the authenticity of you guys playing the characters that we have seen in the games, and carrying over into this anime, I think is really, really incredible. So before we get to the end of this, I'm going to at least get a couple facts about what's going on. We know there'll be zombies in this, right?
Well, and you saw it in a trailer, right?
Yeah,
okay,
that's in the
good.
trailer.
I'm just saying, what can you actually confirm here?
Well, there's a helicopter.
I was just saying, there's going to be, there will be some scares, I'm sure, but it's, it's different.
Yes.
As a game player, when you play the games, you have the, zombies or characters attacking you. With this, it's more of a passive experience. So I'm curious about like the sort of storytelling techniques and some of the situations we're going to get into in this. What can you say about sort of some of the, their big action set pieces? Obviously, there are probably some more intimate moments in this. What are some of the, without spoiling everything, can you talk about some of your favorite sort of sequences or moments that we can expect?
Generally, I really enjoyed the action in this project. There's a good amount of it, and me coming from an action actor background, I was on cloud 9 on set, being able to kick some ass again. And but there's some great dramatic elements, because we're not playing this game, right? It's got to immerse you in different ways, because after the cutscene ends, you don't go back and start killing things. You're sitting there as an audience just watching the whole thing unfold. And so I think there's a great versatility in this project.
I agree. I think what I really like about this project is that it kind of touches up on a variety of different things. So you're obviously going to get action, you're going to get your horror, but then there's also this like political element. There's like this conspiracy element. There's, the unfolding of like the mystery of things. Now you get to see everything.
All right. Final big question for you guys. Resident Evil is a survival game. How long would you survive in a zombie outbreak?
Easy. I've already done the math on this. I have good firearms training, a lot of combat training, survival training. I would give myself 35 to 37 months.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's years. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stephanie, would you be as lucky, do you think?
Look, I didn't do the exact math, but I too I rock climb, I hike, I camp, I know how to garden and make my own food. I've done I have the gun training. I've got the, combat training. So I think I would be okay. My biggest thing would be, I don't know if I'd want to be on my own for 35 to 37 months, but if I got a good team together, I feel like, we could probably figure out how to stop the zombie apocalypse, and hopefully we get to repopulate the world and it's not the end.
Could I be on your team? Would I make the cut?
Dude, Nick, yes. But there are certain supplies I'm going to need you to bring.
Oreos, all day.
Yes, I was going to say Oreos.
3-year plan. I think you'd be on anyone's team, Nick. All right, well, this is exciting that you guys are part of this project. I think it's so authentic and adds to the world of Resident Evil that I've loved, like you guys have, for 20 plus years. And the fact that RE is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year is incredible. So to have Infinite Darkness coming out on Netflix this year feels perfectly appropriate. So we can't wait to see it. And I think you guys have been very effective in spoiling nothing. I'm trying to think what I actually learned about the plot of this from this interview, and you guys have been well trained.
Nothing
to not reveal much.
No, it's not fair to you guys. Really, it's not.
No, you're right. We want to be surprised as we get to watch it, and we don't have to wait long. Coming out this summer. So, Nick, Stephanie, thanks for hanging out on Geeked Week.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's been really fun. July 8th, you guys better be watching.